Oh god. Okay. Oh, let's do this. Hi, my name's Nick Brunton and I'm a Randomfish. Hit the subscribe button and let's all be Randomfishes together. So, I put up a post on my Facebook page saying that the next film I was going to watch was going to be The Room. Yeah. Okay, people. There have been so many videos about The Room, about its awkwardness, about its lack of character, its weird characters. Tommy Wiseau, there's a video out there or two of him being one of the last auteurs ever to exist. I'm so tempted to go into this deep rant about the weirdness of the acting, the scenes that go on for far too long, and the scenes that go so quickly that you can barely, you feel like you've had about 15 minutes of scene in about 5 seconds. It's weird, but I'm not going to talk about that, because if I do, then that makes this video like every other Room review that has ever happened. So, what can I talk about this film that's different? Well, frankly, the only thing I can think of is when I first postulated my next set of films, I was talking about movies that are meh. Films that don't exactly make me feel anything specific. They're just there. And for me, one of the biggest mistakes, the biggest thing that annoys me about anything that's meh, is the complete lack of emotional connection you feel, not just to the plot, but to the characters. If you have a complete, distinct link to the characters, then you don't have a link to the movie. And as far as I'm concerned, film exists on 3 major planes. You have story, you have characters, and you have music. These are the 3 ways that a film can suck you in. Visually, obviously, it's a visual medium, it's film. If they can't pull you in visually, then you're kind of stuck. Number 2, music-wise, if it has a good enough score, even if it's not abundantly visually interesting, it still sucks you in with that. Character and story is sort of the other main point. Story and characters. Characters can keep you attached to a film for years, even if it's not visually interesting. And I think the best one I can come up with for that is Clerks. Clerks was made back in 1994 by Kevin Smith. If you're watching this channel, you probably have heard of Kevin Smith. I've done a few videos regarding some of his movies, as well as his Clerks comic from way back when. That's somewhere on this channel in my older videos. But the thing that I will always say about Clerks is that it drew you in, not just because it was not visually interesting. It was black and white, and black and white to a lot of people means boring. It's a boring old style way of filming things, because obviously for a very, very long time black and white meant you didn't have to worry so much about the lighting or trying to get all the color contrasts out and everything else when you were editing later. That's why black and white films existed for, well, one of the reasons why they existed for so long. Obviously, historically speaking, there's a load of reasons. But when a film is black and white in a color filmed industry, it really handicapped it. It was a handicap to the film. But not only did it draw you in with some pretty good music from various bands that, got added to the film later on after its showing at various film festivals, thanks to the then, at the time, fairly popular Miramax. Oops. But here's the thing. Even when it wasn't visually interesting, it still pulled you in with good characters. And it made you connect to good characters. And that's where the third aspect of film comes from for me. If your characters are interesting, you are interested in the film. And you want to see where it's going. You want to see where the story ends. You want to see how it ends. You want to know the people that are there when it does. The big problem with a movie that's meh is that none of these effects, none of these stick out. The characters are fairly bland and forgettable, but are okay. The music is generic and doesn't feel like a lot of effort's been put into them, but they're still okay. And visually speaking, either one of two things happens. One, they try too hard, and they end up making the film look worse by comparison. If you want an example of this, and this may piss off a few people that I know on this, who watch this channel, but Green Lantern felt like it tried so hard in the visual medium that it kind of backfired on the film, at least for some people, myself included. The other thing is that visually speaking, the problem with a movie that's meh is that it doesn't try. It's trying too hard. It doesn't try hard enough, or it tries too hard in the visual style. And when it doesn't try hard enough, it doesn't suck you. Nothing sucks you in. If it's something visually overstimulating, you're kind of intrigued, but it doesn't last very long because it's almost like a laugh track on a sitcom, to the point where it's forcing something to happen to you when it should be happening naturally to you. And that's where I kind of lose connection with a lot of live audience shows. Sometimes I'm not exactly a massive fan of that. But then that's just me, personally. I'll watch Friends despite the fact that it's a live audience reaction. I'll watch The Big Bang Theory despite it's a live audience reaction. There's many reasons as to why I don't always like The Big Bang Theory, but the live audience was never one of them. But I was talking about The Room, wasn't I? That's right, I was talking about The Room. And why isn't it as bad as it could have been? It's not. It's just not. If it was a movie that was meh to me, the characters would not be sticking in my brain at all. Movies that are meh, like I said, don't try hard enough to grab your attention. In this film, it's a little more complicated. They weren't trying to grab your attention. Otomo Wiseau wasn't attempting to grab your attention through unique visuals or through unique music or through unique characters, perhaps. He was trying to grab you because he was telling a personal story, or trying to tell something that was deeply personal to him. And through some weird combination of his acting and the other people acting in this film, through the writing, through the directing, I don't know. But somewhere in those areas, something happened that still allowed you to connect with the audience. Because the audience still quote this film to this day. Heck, you watch The Nostalgia Critic at any point, and I mean, there's a point where he's reviewing the first film of It, the 2017 one, not Chapter 2, with, when he's transforming into all the kids' fears and he turns into Tommy Wiseau, literally with the football going, "Oh hi kids, ha 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 ha. You're just chickens. Cheep, 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 cheep." And there you have it. That's the one thing I can say in a nutshell about this movie. It is not a movie that's meh. It's a movie that's... How the hell did this get popular? Oh wait, that's why. That's what that is. I don't dislike this movie. And the reason why I'm reviewing movies that are meh is because they infuriate me. Because a movie that's meh, I don't care about, and it infuriates me when I can't care about the characters I see on a screen. Because if I am not expected to care about the people I'm watching, why am I sat here watching it? What is the point of what is the idea of the purpose? What is the point of that? And The Room, despite its weirdness, despite Wiseau's accent, despite the awkwardness of some of the scenes, I mean, good lord. But this film still sticks in our memory. And sometimes a movie that's meh kind of shoves it out of the way for a while. Now, going back, I don't want people to assume that I think that the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings is a movie that's meh either. But I originally started this because I wanted to find movies that are meh. And I hadn't reviewed Bakshi's Lord of the Rings, which I thought was an absolute travesty, so I did that in the last video. This one, I feel like it's a return to my movies that are meh kind of thought process. And this... What's making this interesting for me is that this film, it isn't attempting to be meh, I don't think. Because like I said, Wiseau was attempting to tell a personal story. Or trying to tell a personal story anyway. And it wasn't that he failed. It was that he told a story in such a way that it immensely became popular for all the wrong reasons. Like, he's still celebrating the concept even today. I love it. He's still there. Still talking about The Room. I mean, you know, or he's talking about the other films that he's made over his best friends. Or best friend. And then S in those marks that you find on the keyboard. And it's just so weird. Because he's still talking about it today, and I don't know if I don't think he necessarily intended for this film to be so bad it's good. Because there are a lot of films out there that are so bad they're good, and I think sometimes they're done in that way, but that's where a lot of them sort of end up on something like Mystery Science Theater 3000 or something. But this was so awkward in so many ways that that's what gave it its identity. It gave it the identity of being awkward. It gave it the identity of being bizarre. And it certainly didn't make it meh. Definitely didn't make it meh. At all. And I mean... Here's a question. What was your favourite bit of The Room? What was like your favourite, most bizarre scene? For many people, it's the throwing and catching the football scene with the talking. Or how's your sex life? You know, that I don't think that's quite where that point is in the film, but leave me alone. You know, the I did not hit her, I did not. Was that possibly one of you? All of this stuff, all of the quotability from this film comes from Tommy. Comes from Tommy Wiseau. It, however, does not attempt to... It's weird because you can never take the quotes from Tommy and automatically always know exactly where in the film it is. Oh, hi, Mark, I know definitely comes after the I did not hit her, I did not scene. But it's fascinating. This is not a movie that's meh. Is it a movie that's amazing? That's, you know, a masterpiece of film? I wouldn't quite say that. Not in the traditional sense, anyway. In the sense of complete and utter insanity that maybe for the sake of humanity should never have overly been looked at. Maybe it is a masterpiece. To Wiseau, it must have been. It practically made his career. I mean, you know, James Franco practically made a fortune making, you know, that film that they made about the making of The Room. And I think that's genius for them. And honestly, I kind of want to end this video by just stating something that I think is kind of interesting. Action movies, by their definition, have a connection to primarily action. And they don't always have the best characters or the most interesting of characters. Their characters are sometimes very bland, and they're very forgettable. I spoke about this in Clash of the Titans, and the reason why I talk about it now is because I know that I know that there are points where I will get very frustrated at an action movie, because I want character, I want growth, I want plot, I want a decent amount of time spent with the characters. And while I know that action movies for a lot of the time are like that, they are very bland in a lot of ways, I know there are some action films out there that are very good at building character. I mean, I know Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day, those two films especially, helped create, build, and reconnect us, in terms of Terminator 2, with characters that we grew and knew pretty well. So my next movie that's meh, I want you to put this in the comments, as well as your favourite scene from The Room, actually. Either write down in the comments or send it to my page on Facebook, on the I Am a Randomfish page on Facebook. If nothing else, I'll put a link in the description below. Or tweet at me at the Randomfish. Again, I'll put it down in the description below. Not a link, just my handle. So you can tweet at me. Please just tell me what other films would you like to see that you think are meh? Films that don't quite grab you, even though they should, because they're meant to have a much more character-driven story. So, I mean, anything from, you know, any other genre, with the exception of action, perhaps. Because I really want to look at this stuff. And so, for this, I'm not going to say that The Room is a movie that's meh. I'm going to call The Room a movie that's weird. Very, very weird. Now, please do like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click that notification button so you can see when the new videos come up. Like I said, please comment below if you can, or tweet at me, or send a, you know, tell me on my page on Facebook, which is fine with me. And I'm going to enjoy the rest of my Sunday, despite the fact that it's incredibly horrid out there. Just is. But hey, enjoy your time. Randomfish out.